The numbers are in for the Panama City Beach housing market for May of 2022, and there's some slight shifts starting to happen. I'm Craig Duran with the Duran Group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through what we're watching to see what's happening in the market. So if we're going to see where prices may be headed, we really need to track supply and demand numbers and take a look at any kind of trends we can pick up. So take a look at these charts and focus on just what's happened since March of this year. If you look at the number of active homes for sale in the market, take a look. We're down pretty much across the board. We're down 30% in the first week of March, down 29%, down 26%, down 21%. That means that when compared to the same time last year, we're down about 30% or so. If you look at the number of new contracts being written though, we were up the first week about 24%, but we're still down. We're down 17%, down 29%, down 47%. So demand is waning when it's compared to last year. Inventory levels are still low, meaning supply is still pretty tight, but demand is waning a little bit compared to last year. Now take a look at April. April, you're starting to see a little bit more supply. Now we're about flat, or a little, maybe 2% higher than we were last year. A little bit different than March. March we were down 30% or so. Now instead of being 30% now, we're about even or about the same amount as we had last year in the market. And if you look at the number of new contracts, we had 1 week 46% more contracts written. We're about flat, down 3%, down 4%, up 7% the next week. But demand's not gangbusters and supply is starting to come up a little bit. Now take a look at May, and this is where you really start to see a difference. Look at the number of active homes for sale in the market just in the month of May. We're now up 13%, up 24%, up 43%, up 40% week over week. What this means is compared to this time last year, we had that many more homes for sale. There are that many more homes for sale now than there were this time last year. That means there's more supply in the market. Buyers have that many more choices when they're looking at something to buy. Now take a look at the number of new contracts. We're well into the spring market and we're off 46%, off 38%. We did have a good week in week 3, up 30%, but then down 6% in week 4. So very generally, demand is waning a little bit, supply levels are moving up. These aren't huge numbers yet to make any kind of major change in pricing yet, but it's something we really want to pay attention to going forward in the housing market. All right, a different way to look at this, take a look at this chart. This is showing us the number of available homes for sale at any given time in Panama City Beach. And as you can see, we're starting to trend up again a little bit. That means there's a little more supply in the market. Buyers have a few more choices. It's still very much seller market territory. If you take a look at this chart, we've gone from 1.48 months of inventory to 2.13 months of inventory from the beginning of the year. Now remember, months of inventory in real estate sort of signifies how long it takes to work through the process. 4 or 5 months of inventory is traditionally a neutral market. Theoretically, that would mean that if someone was going to put up a house for sale, it would take 4 or 5 months to work through the entire process. We've only ticked up from 1.48 to 2.13, meaning it's taking a little bit longer to sell a house, but 2.13 is still very much seller market territory. So in the short term, if you're thinking about selling and you're doing it anytime soon, you can still price aggressively for this market. 2.13 is still very much seller market territory. But we're going to watch these numbers over the next few months to see if they continue to tick up. If we get around 4 or 5, there'll be some real pressure on pricing to flatten out and stabilize just a bit. So what does this all mean for pricing going forward? There's a lot of negative sentiment in the market out there. I'm hearing a lot about the pressures of high interest rates, the pressures of inflation. All those things are very, very real. But if you look at these numbers, we are still very much in seller market territory. So again, if you're selling, you can still be bold with your pricing, at least for now. We're going to watch these trends and see if we get to those 4, 5, 6 months of inventory like I'm talking about. But for the most part, if you're selling, it's still an excellent time to sell. Pricing is important. We may not be able to be as ultra aggressive as we were 3 or 4 months ago, but you can still push the pricing. Buyers still don't have a ton of choices. I know that's a lot of data and a lot of numbers for you coming at you pretty quick, but I wanted to go through a few of these things there's a lot of talk out there about the market cooling off or the market crashing, and it's just not the case in the housing market yet. It's a little bit different in the condo market. If you want to watch that video, that's on another video on the YouTube channel. But for the housing market, we're still very much in seller market territory. We'll keep an eye on these trends for you and come back to you next month with more information. I'm Craig Duran with the Duran Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Thanks for watching.